We should all agree that Wednesday was special, but it's how Hugh Freeze and the staff got Auburn to a top 20 class.
Listen, put me in the parking lot, with Bears, and I'll go out there and play. It don't matter.
You are Locked On Auburn, your daily podcast on the Auburn Tigers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Yes, welcome on into Locked On Auburn, your daily Auburn Tigers podcast. I'm your host, Zac Blackerby, and thank you so much for making Locked On Auburn your first listen every single day. Special Friday going on here, a Charlie Tuesday on a Friday, as we're joined by Auburn message board legend Charlie 5.
2 weeks
Signing day is behind us, man. How electric was Wednesday for you, brother?
Man, from a guy who adores recruiting, I eat, sleep, breathe recruiting, love it, have loved it for many, many years, and it's fun again. Wednesday was awesome. Was awesome. Yes, and Tuesday night, the suspense of several different guys in the air and whatnot. Will we get him? Won't we get him? We're back, baby. We're back, and we're back in the hunt with big name guys. And you saw a ton of flips, which you don't see a ton of. And man, Wednesday was great. A lot of fun.
Yeah, the way they put this class together, and they're not done. Hugh Freeze said that at his presser on Wednesday. They're not done. They'll add more guys, but
yeah,
the way they put it together, the how, I guess, is probably the bigger story here.
Totally.
Just because there's 19 and they flipped 8. I mean, you talk about flipping guys that were committed to other schools, reputable schools. They weren't G5 schools that they were pulling these kids from. They were other SEC schools, Big 12 schools, and the like. So Ohio State, who's getting ready to play in a college football playoff game, you went and got dudes that were already committed elsewhere, and you convinced them to come to Auburn. To me, that's more of the storyline of, okay, yeah, Wednesday was great, but it goes a little bit further. Wednesday was great because they flipped 8 guys over the last few weeks.
Exactly. I didn't even know that Kayin Lee was a person. I didn't know he was a human. I mean, and then all of a sudden, Hugh Freeze gets here, and Zac says, "Hey, I may have a shot to go get this guy now because I got Hugh backing me on the trail." People don't really understand that. You may flip in the past, you may flip 3 or 4 guys. You don't close a class. There's nobody left. For whatever reason, it's starting to commit. Kids are starting to commit earlier and earlier and earlier. There's just nobody left out there that's open season. You know what I mean? It's if you come in at the end of November, beginning of December, you got less than 3 weeks to put a class together, and you got to call kids who have established relationships with coaches that have been there exponentially longer than you. And you go out and you flip 8, 9 top guys. A lot of them very highly recruited, especially Keldric Faulk, Rivals 100 guy. Kayin Lee, like you just said, committed to arguably you could say maybe best team. They maybe end up playing Georgia. I mean, you're talking about one of the best teams in the country. So, yeah. I mean, you're not just flipping dudes from anywhere. I think that is a storyline. Someone asked in the Discord, "Hey, how do I put this class into perspective?" Okay, you had a class who was when Harsin came in before. There was he was signed. He was hired after signing day. There was somewhere around 14 or 15 guys in the class signed. So he went and added, a few in February, whatever. When Hugh was hired, we had 10 or 11 commits, and that's it. And he goes out and he flips 8, 9 guys, signs a couple of portal guys, all in 20 days. I mean, think about that. Really put that into perspective. It's amazing. It really is amazing. And then credit to Cadillac and Zac, who flipped 3 guys without even a coach there. So you rounded out this class with 10 to 11 guys that were all flipped from pledges to another to another school. So it's just everybody, top to bottom, this whole deal was just remarkable. And like, you can't not get excited for 2024 and 2025. You've already seen tons of offers already go out. And it's like, man, if they can do this, if they can like turn over relationships in 21 days, what can they do with a full year? Like, what can they do?
That's the question, right? And so, reasonable expectation. I mean, is a top 10 class likely next year?
I would say top 10 outside of the top 10 would be somewhat of a disappointment.
You kind of get that feeling. Yeah.
I mean, you're talking, we're going to add 2 more dudes. I don't want to take their moment away, but we're probably going to add at least 2 more guys from this high school class. That's probably going to bump you into the top 15, 15th ranked class. I mean, in a transition deal, like it's hard for me to see how, I know how hard Hugh Freeze is going to work, how hard he's been working, and you put a whole year in front of him to make up ground. Like, I'm just going to be shocked if we're not sitting here, somewhere in the like 6 to 10 range. I mean, I straight up said, I think we'll be 15, 18, and we're 16 on multiple sites right now. So, I mean, I'm just going to be shocked if we're not a top 10 this time next year.
It's been fun to see what he's been able to do. There's no question about it. I want to talk about the transfer side of this and kind of what you expect moving forward in just a moment right here on Locked On Auburn. Did you know that driving under the influence of marijuana, it's illegal? That's right. Driving high will get you a DUI. And if you're wondering if law enforcement can tell when you're driving high, well, everyone else in your life can. Your friends can, your coworkers can, even your parents can tell. So what makes you think law enforcement is any different? They can tell if you feel different, you drive different. Drive high, get a DUI. This paid for by the NHTSA. Charlie 5, I'm a little surprised at the point of us recording this Thursday night that there are only 2 transfers committed right now. And they've been talking. Auburn's been talking to a bunch of different guys, a lot of different offensive linemen. I was talking about this with a few, some of the other Locked On hosts earlier in the day, and it's just a different pacing with a lot of the top, 50% of transfer guys. They're taking their time a lot more this year than they did last season. And I don't know if it's because of the window. I don't know if it's because NIL is more prevalent and they're waiting to see what kind of money they can get at certain places. But I thought the first week of the portal being open, it would feel a little rushed. It clearly has not felt that way at all. I mean, Auburn's not alone in this. A lot of SEC schools haven't really received a whole lot of transfer commits so far. Why do you think that is?
So I think it's 2 things. Okay. Number one, I think that colleges are waiting to see how the bowls play out and who goes into the portal after the bowl. Here's an example. North Texas, yesterday, they just had their quarterback go into the portal who threw for 3,500 plus yards. I can't think of the name, but like, that's just an example. Kids are playing their bowl games, and then the ones that want to like level up or like shop around, whatever, they're going into the portal after the bowl games. You still have we still have well over, 15, I feel like at least 15 plus bowl games left, plus the playoffs. I think that's number one. And then number 2, I think you just mentioned it. I think kids that are in the portal, I think it's a pretty 50-50 balance. It's people that are going and trying to find a check. They're like, hey, I'm about to go level up. Let's make some money. And then there's the kids that, they don't have a place to play, or they're not happy with their playing time and they're trying to find other places. So the kids the higher end guys, those guys are shopping. I mean, let's just be honest. I mean, and more power to them. Like, go get what you can get. But there's a dead period now. So like there's a dead period, and there's like a small window that opens up for visits. There was a very small window for visits when the portal actually opened. Yeah. And then there's going to be a small window in January that they can go visit. And I think that you're going to see a whole lot more action after the first of the year as far as like commits popping. There was actually several commits yesterday, but I just don't think we know everybody. I don't think we 100% know everybody that's going to be available yet. I mean, and that's crazy considering there's over 1,000 dudes in the portal out of somewhere around like 13,000 NCAA football players. There's like over 1,000 in the portal right now, and that's not the end. There's going to be more. So I wouldn't really panic. You go look at the receivers, man. There's a ton of wide receivers, good ones in the portal right now. I just don't think that I wouldn't really panic. There's going to be more quarterbacks enter the portal. There's going to be a lot of players go in over the next 2 or 3 weeks.
Yeah, and that guy's name, the North Texas quarterback's name, Austin Aune, I guess is how you pronounce the last name.
Sure,
Aune. He's 29. I didn't realize he was that old.
Super old. Yeah, he's like my age.
That's wild.
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, that's what I'm saying. Like once he's getting Memphis has a quarterback. I can't think of the name off the top of my head. He's a sophomore. He's thrown for like 7,000 yards in 2 years. I mean, I don't know that that's a target, or I don't know that that's a kid that people are after. Like
PC French.
Yeah, like I mean that is a guy I could see as soon as that game's over going into the portal, and like everybody's like that needs a quarterback at a higher level is going to be after him. I mean, there's several of those guys over the next, like I said, up until the new year that are going to be like that.
Is there any chance Auburn doesn't take a transfer quarterback?
I would be shocked on one end. I feel like if we don't take one, we probably missed on several different guys that we either had identified, or maybe didn't go into the portal that we thought would, or we just missed on some targets. Because I love Robby. Look, I think Robby has a high ceiling. I think Robby has a lot of traits that Hugh can do great things with. But at the end of the day, I think anybody, you'd be just a tad uneasy. And it's not even so much of Robby as it is like as hard as Robby plays. Like even Robby got dinged up last year. He running is a big part of his game. Like, what, are you comfortable going with, just Garner and then Hank Brown? Like, I would be very shocked if there's not another quarterback, a good quarterback to add to the competition before this whole January portal season is over.
We get questions like every day. The Grayson McCall thing, is that done?
I would
have you heard anything about them trying to find eligibility there for him?
Well, I would say I would have said that the book is closed, but then whatever happened at Auburn has also happened at Florida. Okay, so what can he do between now and May? I would say if Grayson McCall is in the fold, it would not happen. He would not be here until summer. So is he worth that risk?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I don't know the answer to that.
I don't know it either, but I would guess that he is worth it.
I mean, I would as well, but it's kind of one of those things. It's like bird in the hand.
But I'm going into that being higher on Robby than most people.
Sure.
And so like if Robby's the fallback plan, like I'm fine with that.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. Like maybe you catch fire and Grayson is just that good and taking over in spring and early fall. But I would not be it would be probably June before you see him. If there's I don't think the book's completely closed, but it's very dim. I would just say it's very dim.
Yeah.
He wants to be at Auburn. I'll just say that. Like he wanted to be at Auburn. I just, for whatever reason, I don't know what it is. It's not just an Auburn thing. Like we thought it was just the whole progress towards degree to thing. It's definitely not at Auburn. It's definitely not just an Auburn thing.
Right. All right. So we haven't really talked about the transfer edge from Vandy. Elijah McAllister, really like his size.
Sure.
His tape's okay. I think he's fine. Are we okay with him being a starter? Like, do you think he was brought in to be a starting piece, or is he a depth piece?
I think he's probably a depth and maybe like a leadership piece.
Sure.
I don't know. I've heard nothing but great things about him off the field.
Same.
And I think that he's got tools, man. I mean, he's 6'5", 50 pounds, and there's not like not 1 ounce of bad anything on him. It's just, I mean, he's just a completely,
he looks the part. Yeah.
He looks
great.
looks the part. And, maybe he was in a position in that Vandy offense where stats were not, there's positions on the field where you're not going to just achieve a ton of stats. So
sure.
Is there a way that he can help? I think so. I mean, it's going to be hard not to help with the defensive line depth chart. I don't know that I would look for him to be just, all SEC standout type guy, but it's a guy that's going to help you as a team, help you as a locker room, regardless, just because of how solid of a guy he is.
Yeah. All right. So Charlie 5, yesterday I shared some of the guys that signed with Auburn earlier this week. Who do I think of those guys could start? I shared that. I want to hear your thoughts. Instant impact players that Auburn picked up this week. Let's discuss that in just a moment right here on Locked On Auburn. Today's show brought to you by our friends at Alumni Hall. Look, Christmas is just days away. If you're in the Auburn or Opelika or Lee County area and you need a last-second gift, Alumni Hall is the place to go. They've got stores in Opelika and Auburn. And look, if you just want something to kind of go into the thick of basketball season as conference play starts next week and you want some basketball swag, some basketball gear, head over to alumnihall.com and they've got you covered. They have everything Auburn that you could possibly imagine, as well as memorabilia, as well as swag, whatever you want. Alumni Hall has it. Be sure to check out our friends at Alumni Hall and their 2 physical stores at Opelika and Auburn or alumnihall.com. Charlie 5, yesterday I pointed out 6 guys that I thought could start year one. And I'm not counting Cobb because he didn't sign his national letter of intent. But I had Izavion Miller, the JUCO tackle. I had Clay Whedon in there. You also could put Connor Lew in there, I think, as kind of maybes. I put Tyler Johnson as a questionable tackle, just if you don't get another tackle in the portal. Maybe I think he's your backup plan there. And then obviously the 2 flips, Kayin Lee. I don't know how you don't put him on the field. I think he's just an incredible corner. And then obviously Keldric Faulk is going to be a big part of it. Sure,
and I don't disagree with a lot of those. The only ones I would say, and a lot of it depends on if you're just looking at it from like if we stopped today, if this is the roster, I think you nailed it. I think all those. I think Connor Lew's probably the best high school offensive lineman we've signed in the last 3 or 4 years. I think
Braden Smith.
Since Braden Smith, easily. I think he's going to be the best interior offensive lineman that we've signed since Braden Smith. Like he's wow. that good. And you said it weeks ago. Interior guys are not valued high on rankings. This guy is really, really good. I think both of your defensive line guys, Reed and Faulk, are going to play early. I really do, especially switching to this 3-4 type defense. You got Keldric as a very athletic edge. I don't know if y'all need to go watch his huddle. He played quarterback too in high school. Can you imagine this dude? And it was like a wildcat quarterback. They ran like a triple option. There was I saw a good post. It was a guy who was a high school referee, and he said I was a referee at one of the playoff games, and one of the big penalties this year emphasis was hurdling, and you had if a defensive player has 2 feet on the ground and you hurdle them, it's an automatic flag. And he said Faulk broke a run at 6'5", 6'4", 6'5", 240, 250, whatever, broke a run. Was a dude standing flat-footed, not like bent up, like standing flat-footed, goes down to make the tackle, and Faulk hurdles him, like completely hurdles him, keeps going. And he's like, I threw my flag, but it was like I was in awe. And that's like, you're not supposed to do that as a referee. Like you're not supposed to ever get caught up in the game. And he goes, this guy is just an absolute physical freak. He's going to play early. And then the 3-4 defensive end, Reed, I want to call him Payne because of, I guess, the kid from Alabama,
Deron Payne. Yeah.
But anyway, Deron Reed, he being that 3-4, Darren, 280, 290, 300, that area, that athletic 3-4 end, he could play early. And then obviously Kayin Lee, like, holy cow. I mean, he's just an athletic freak. You could have him in the return game. You could have, I mean, he's definitely going to play special teams. You could put him pretty much anywhere. And then the last one I would say that's not talked about a lot to me is Terrence Love. Kind of went unforgotten, probably because he was committed for so long.
Yeah.
But you're going to have a dude that's 6'3", 205 coming in who played wide receiver for a state champion, who went 15-0 in like one of the toughest classifications in Georgia. Like, I mean, that kid's going to play. Like, you're not going to be able to keep him off the field. Does he play nickel? Does he play some linebacker? Like, who knows? He's a really, really athletic kid. I love your list. I do. I love your list. There's some guys definitely in this class that are gonna play early.
Yeah. Then obviously when Cobb signs in February, his name will be added to the list too.
Oh yes.
You just got to find a way to put him on the field. So
that's your kick returner.
I'm okay with it. Yeah, just give him the ball in whatever way possible. I'm totally fine with that. Charlie 5, thank you for joining me, man. Really appreciate it. How can people find you, hear you, love you, all that good stuff?
Absolutely. Find me on Twitter at _Charlie_5 in the Locked On Auburn Discord. I'm there every single day. Auburn, the corner on auburnlive.com message board, and then Monday, Wednesday, Friday on the Dad Bod Golf Pod.
You can find all my written work at auburndaily.com. We will be back on Monday. Merry Christmas, everyone. This has been Locked On Auburn.